Welcome, everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. My name is Pawel the Cat with my very kind and insightful co-host, Evan. Evan, how you doing?
Wow, man, I'm going to tell you, it's been a rootin' tootin' darndy good old day. No, man, I'm getting hockeyed out. I can't keep up. There has been so much going on in the world of hockey, and then we get questions that come in. I think people expect us to be contract lawyers, criminal lawyers. They think we know criminal law, civil law, everything related to human resources. And they also think we know everything about coaching and managing. No, joking. Actually, they think we don't know a single thing, if the truth be known. But, man, it's been a good one this week. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. It's been a very busy week for me, so I'm just trying to catch up on everything. As you know, it never slows down. There's always something on the go. As you indicated, it's nonstop hockey, and we're going to get to all of it. But things are good in this world. We have a great hockey history tonight. We've got some great around the rink information. But remember, guys, we are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we are on X at Renaerts or Hockey_2. We are on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram, as well as Discord. Feel free to give us a follow. And if you want to be a writer, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you and you to write about your favorite hockey-based club.
Hey, guys, can I just say that Pawel here, man, he is the man who always brings the hard numbers and the unfiltered truth to the table. And let's face it, I'm the one that brings the absolute chaos surrounding the coaching carousels. And in other words, the debate around it here. But I'll tell you what, we're going to get into that. Just if you're joining us right now and you're like, man, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the NHL. We do have stuff to talk about, but we don't want to hit it right off the bat. And then you guys are like, hey, I want to get into this conversation. I want to talk about the coaching carousel. I want to talk, some of the stuff that's not that important, but you want to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights. You want to get into these stuff. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. So if you're hitting on that, if you're putting notes in the comments in, we're going to tell you. I see that Zill wants to know where the Res 15. I wonder if Zill was listening last week. We're not putting up Res 15 because we have so much material. And in about another week or 2 weeks, all there's going to be is Res 15. So the final report is actually going to be coming out on our Facebook and my X. That's where I'll release it first. And that's where we'll start breaking down all the players. But we are 2 weeks away from going into some in-depth Revs Top 15. And we are hitting in on some of those segment pieces still even tonight. All right, my friend.
Well, let's get into it because there's some news around the NHL that we wanted to get to because just because the playoffs are going on and we'll get to what's been happening in the Final Four here, there's still other clubs that are trying to take care of business and try to get stuff done. And speaking of business, the Chicago Blackhawks have signed Roman Kasparov to a 3-year deal with the Blackhawks. Now, he's a highly touted Russian forward. He had a breakout season in the KHL with the Metallurg Magnorsk. I apologize for mispronouncing that. I'm sounding like Evan. But he led that KHL season with 36 goals and 64 points in 63 games. So he set a record, and he's under 22. So really, he's a very skilled winger. And again, this is another piece of the puzzle that they're trying to build. Kyle Davidson's trying to build around Connor Bedard. And of course, they're kind of working around a few other things, including having a higher pick this year at the draft, a top pick. On top of that, just to add to that, there was news in the last little bit here that Ilya Mikheyev has been made available, and that if any team is interested, his rights could be traded. We're thinking about a 7th rounder, maybe future considerations for a team. Now, he's had his stint in Toronto, in Chicago. He is a speedy Russian, but again, they're looking at rebuilding and making a push for the postseason. This is a nice piece of business by Kyle Davidson. Timu, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right, Evan, you wanted to kind of jump into the draft because, as we alluded to, that's coming up in only a few weeks ago, and there's a lot of hot topic debate about who's going where, what's going to happen. So give us your thoughts here.
Yeah, so if I can just say this right now, I think just give me a moment here, just making sure I moved everything around here. You see me all over the place here. I had some stuff I was making sure to be careful with. So, all right, guys, one of the things that I'm finding interesting right now, and Timo's here. He's one of the guys that talked about this a while back. But, folks, let's talk about really quickly the 2026 NHL draft because we are only weeks away. And the rumor mill is already hit overdrive. In fact, and the reason I mentioned that because Timu had mentioned about, hey, there could be something in play for the Sharks that he was hearing, and there's some discussions. And man, if he wants to throw those mentions in, I haven't heard those mentions. I've heard speculation around guys like Nylander and so forth. I can't see that happening. But multiple insiders are saying the San Jose Sharks obviously are open to that pick, and Greer's made that open. He said that last year. But the Chicago Blackhawks are open to some blockbuster deals on draft day, and they're starting to make this known. And one name that keeps popping up is Dallas Stars' Jason Robertson. Now, could he be heading to Chicago on draft day or just before in exchange for the Blackhawks' number 4 overall pick? Now, that's providing they can get him signed, moved over there, and still signed. Now, at the same time, Greer not only openly has said he's willing to listen to moving that, but they want to load up on defense. So could it be that they want another pick a little in say, the top 8, top 10, and move back and get a good player? There's talk around, I can't see it happening, but there's now talk around, could San Jose pick up Nurse and free some of the cap? But then in return, take something of greater value. I don't know what that would be. There's talk that the Oilers want to get their draft pick back. Now that some people like Jeff Merrick has put that stuff out there. So I find it crazy. Can I just say this? In the end, I feel like every draft, Pawel, we go into, and you know what it's like. All this talk, nothing happens. And I'm going to predict nothing happens in the top 10 again.
Yeah. I agree. Every year we hear it that, the floodgates will open, but really not much takes place beyond the odd picks that get traded so that other teams move up for a few extra picks, especially if they're limited in draft capital. So, you saw it a few years ago with Edmonton where Ken Holland traded up and got 2 picks, and just how that worked. So we'll see how it goes. We'll be here live to report the top picks that are being picked. And speaking of top picks, so we know the Vancouver Canucks are picking in the top 3, but they have also officially fired head coach Adam Foote, along with some other multiple assistant captains and coaches there. And it sounds like they're moving in a completely new direction. They're kind of changing of the guard. There is a lot of talk about who they're going to pick at number 3, but it looks like this is the first stamp of kind of what they want this team to look like by the Sedin brothers and the new GM. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll see what takes place. Go ahead.
Before you finish some of your further notes, I love to go back to 2 years ago. You and I sat here on this show, and we predicted, could the Sedins be the next co-general managers? Buddy, they jumped us. They didn't even go into a general manager role. They were an advisor role and did special development. So first time ever in history. I know we didn't get a chance to get too deep into this last week, but man, I again, listen to us here on Two Guys. We may not look smart, but we sometimes got it figured out.
Well, and to talk about Ryan Johnson and this role, I mean, sometimes you think about a GM, he has full autonomy of making that decision. This seems like kind of a 3-headed beast in Vancouver, and that the Sedin twins really have a lot of input. And it sounds like, and we'll get into coaching later, Manny Malhotra, his son who's going in the draft, he's a potential candidate. Now, he was the head coach last year for the Abbotsford Canucks, who moved up to Abbotsford from their previous location. And it sounds like they would be interested in bringing him along, given how much he's developed a lot of their players, and they know that even when they played with him, he was a good players coach. So we'll see what this happens. We're kind of reporting it as things come along, but there's a lot of movement in Vancouver, especially since there's a lot of discussion of who they will pick at number 3.
Is it possible? We're not going to hit Vegas yet, guys. That's coming up later in the show. Yeah. But is it possible? Is it called tampering when you don't do due diligence with your coach, which is in place, which is Foot, and they've already been talking to Manny Malhotra about that coaching position to make sure he'll take it before they let go of Foot? Is that possible? Yes, folks. It's called a shadow search. Go to my X. You'll see what I was talking about last week. Anyway, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Zilstra says all coaches gone. Maybe Jessica goes there. That's the female coach, I believe, that was an assistant coach in Seattle. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of vacant positions right now. We'll see how things go. The other news that we wanted to get to is there's been rumblings, Evan, and I want you to kind of touch on this in Detroit, because we haven't heard much since the press conference, but there's some news coming out of the Red Wings organization.
So this has got really interesting, actually. So, and I know this is someone that Zill talks about quite often, Sebastian Cossa. Sebastian Cossa was who the Oilers wanted, went with Bourgault and didn't take Wallstedt. Go figure. Sebastian Cossa had an incredible year in the A, is blocked. Something is happening behind the scenes. It's just not fitting. So Sebastian Cossa is basically out in Detroit, and the former first-round goalie prospect will be on the move this summer. Now, Frank Saravelli actually had a discussion around this, and he didn't sugarcoat it. He says Cossa is going to get traded, and the asking price seems pretty clear. A prospect that's ready to play right now in the NHL, or a second-round pick at minimum. I'm shocked, because that's a lot of development that's already happened. But hey, after years of waiting for Cossa to become the guy in net, the Red Wings are apparently ready to cash in while the value's still high, I'm guessing. But he's been lights out in Grand Rapids, and the organization sounds done waiting for him to push through as their long-term starter. But, I mean, they blocked the way. And my question for you guys, is this a smart reset for Detroit's goaltending future? Or are they selling low on a guy who could still be a stud? Timo, I'm really interested in what your thoughts are on this.
And Kyle says, hey, guys. Hey, Kyle, hope you're doing well. I know he's following NBA season, so go check out his podcast, Sports Empire. It's pretty good. I agree with you. They have a lot of goalies in their system, both up and coming. And, of course, after picking up Gibson last year, who's got, I believe, 1 more year left, if not 2 years left on a contract, on top of a few others, including, I believe, Trey Augustine is in that organization as well. So lots happening with the Detroit, and there's also discussion about what's Yzerman's role, right?
Okay, go ahead. Timu needs an update. So what I was asking Timu is, we're talking about Sebastian Cossa is apparently out, according to Frank Saravelli. They're looking for either a second-round pick, a really good one, or a prospect ready to play right now. And they consider this selling high. There's been something in the midst. I think Sebastian Cossa, I mean, the best goalie led to me last year in the A. You may disagree. I'm curious, what's your thoughts? I think Sebastian Cossa is a steal for someone ready to get a goalie that's not going to be 1A, but could be a 1B to even get started in this season, or at least an incredibly good backup this year. All right, 100%. Go ahead.
And speaking of goaltender changes, the New Jersey Devils, so Sonny Meta, who's come in now, it sounds like they're replacing their goaltending coach, who was Dave Rogalski, and makes sense. They've struggled this year. Jim Berninger talked about this in an article recently on his show. And again, they brought in a longtime Devils figure, Sergei Brinlin, to be reassigned within the organization. And it was also notified today by Sonny Meta that they're keeping Sheldon Keefe as the head coach. Wow. It's been a roller coaster of a year with the New Jersey Devils. I mean, they want to get back to being a playoff contender, if not competing for the cup. A lot of good pieces. They brought in Sonny Meta to be more analytical, but it looks like they're going to have an opportunity to kind of right the ship. They have a lot of the pieces, although they also have a lot of goaltenders that they've signed, including Markstrom and Jake Allen for quite a bit. So we'll see if that changes, because goaltending was an issue this year, even though at the beginning of the year they started red hot. So your thoughts there with the New Jersey Devils?
I think it's good. Let's keep Keith in place. I don't think Keith is the issue. They've had a lot of injuries there. I know we talk about that, but and say every team deals with them to some degree, but it just seems it always hits them at the wrong time. The team's on the edge, but I think right now they need to give this some time. And hey, it's not unusual now for a coach to be fired 2 months into the season if they start off weak. So I could see definitely that if Keith doesn't pull out a good, strong start with his team, he'll be the next guy on the market, and another coach in the coaching carousel will continue.
Can I just add something very unique? And this is just me spitballing random ideas. And I know Keith's gotten the go ahead for one more year, but you indicated, 2 months of the season, if things aren't going well in end of November for the Devils, would a Chris Knobloch not fit that perfect mold for the New Jersey Devils? I think he'd be a great fit there. And I think he'd be able to get that team over the hump. He's already coached a few of the players, and I really believe I know he has time to pick his next location or where he's going to work, but I believe that he would be a great fit there. I'm just saying, I'm not predicting anything. I'm not hearing anything. But just wanted to say,
what a great landing block. Actually, let's come back to that a little bit later. Okay. I want to talk more about that carousel. Yeah. Sorry. Who was that?
That was Austin, Zane Hilton.
Austin.
Hey, everyone. Yep. And Timu says he's been the best overall goalie in the AHL since about 2023. They refused to give him an actual NHL playing time, and he's already 23, and his contract ends this year. Not surprised. I don't understand how one decides to not let Talbot go and have Kosa become a full-time backup, or even take Gibson in his contract and make him starters. I agree. On top of that, I believe I haven't watched too much of the Worlds, but I believe Greaves has been predominantly the starter for Canada, although Talbot's there as a backup. But your quick thoughts there before we move on to the Buffalo Sabres.
I think Talbot got game number 2. Yeah, was it Italy or something like that? No. So Timu, that's exactly what I was thinking. I know there's been rumors around the Oilers, and he played for the Oil Kings, and a big, solid goalie. Could that be someone in the system? Not someone you depend on for your first year, but they got to get out of their Jarry mess and to clear out some cap to make that move. And I would be cool with an Ingram Kosa kind of a play. But again, what do you do with Jarry, right? You're going to have to pay to let him go.
Or you waive him and you put him down in the minors like you did a little bit with Campbell, unless somebody takes that contract. That is a possibility.
If anyone knows the contract numbers, I believe you can go to Puckpedia, one of our partners there, and you can check out that. So when they get demoted, certain players, depending on their contract, how much money still counts against the NHL salary cap. So that would be interesting. So anyway, we'll check in on that. Maybe one of us while we're out of here. So, hey, let's go over to the sheet with Jeff Marek again. Man, he's making he's making a lot of stuff he's throwing out there. So I'll get to Timu's comment in just a sec. Jeff Marek went on record and he said it out loud. Devin Levi and the Buffalo Sabres are over. They are over. They're not struggling, he says. They don't need more time. They are over. And Levi's been the one guy in Buffalo who's actually looked like an NHL goalie some nights this last year. But Marek's basically ringing the bell on the whole project. And, honestly, after years of tanking and high picks and waiting for the young core to click, they're kind of still somewhat stuck in this position on goaltenders and trying to figure out who should be the guy that can save them. I don't know. Is Marek being too harsh because now they're out of the playoffs? Is he saying what every fan has been afraid to admit out loud? Was that an anomaly this year? So right now, that is another guy out there, Devin Levi. So Devin Levi and Sebastian Cossa look for moves. I do think both of them are going to be finding a new home this year. And go ahead and read Timu.
For sure. So he says either way, his agent Jerry Johansson runs a ton of goalies: Carey Price, Aiden Hill, Peter Mrazek, Joe Hofer, Wallstead, Vanacek, Dobish, and Merzlikins. Oh, wow. He has a ton of goalies, and he's extremely hard to negotiate. Like, I cannot wait for Wallstead contract.
So can I say Jerry Johansson, though, Timu, is very connected with the Oilers, though, and works very well with them, though.
Yeah. It's really hard for teams to do team-friendly deals with him. Merzlikins and Hill are making $5 million, and they're not long-term deals unless it's a change of money. Yeah, Buffalo does. I mean, it's a feel-good story this year for Buffalo after all the years of them being out of the postseason, 14 years, and all of a sudden they make it back. They have exciting hockey. They play the Bruins, which was a fun series. They play the Montreal, take it to Game 7. They really look dominant for that one game, and I like the future for Buffalo, albeit they still have to figure out what they're going to do with Alex Tuck. I really believe that the team really hit its stride. Lindy Ruff, of course, I'm just going to add extended today for 2 years extension. Makes sense. One of the best coaches in the game, really knows the game, only has a few rules that players need to live by, but he's really taken that team and made them elite. And I like what they brought, and they looked like, I thought they were going to win this series, but of course Montreal was able to. Dobish played out of his mind. Long story short, I think they do need to figure out their goalie tandem. I still love Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, but that was a bad goal to let in. I don't think that was a good one to end it on. And I really think that they have to figure it out. And Jarmo Kekalainen has a lot of work for him to do ahead, including who's going to be between the pipes for next season.
Granted, and that could be all the difference in whether or not they can get back to the top 8 again this year. And if I can just say this, I know there's a lot of talk this year around the Final Four all being goalies who are not paid big dollars. Can I just say this? Sergei Bobrovsky made over $10 million a year, and he is the reason the Florida Panthers were 2-time Stanley Cup champions. Otherwise, they would not have beat the Edmonton Oilers. But Bobrovsky was a saver, and I'm telling you, paying a good goalie may not guarantee it, but it gives you the best chance if you ever run up against a high-scoring dynamo of players, including that's why I can't see anybody but Colorado. I know we're going to get into this later on, is because I think their offense is going to be able to break through the other goalies.
I agree. And before that, it was Vasilevsky who had won with the Tampa Bay back-to-back. Now, the 1 year he was making, I believe, like $3 or $4 million, but later on he made a bit of a higher cap hit. So it's not like people will always find these little things about, well, this is happening. Before it was, I think if you recall, Evan, well, there was never been a player on a team that makes over 10 million. And then that changed with Eichel. And then now it's 11 million. There's always a goalpost that keeps moving. Yeah. So, it's good to banter. It's good debate. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But it goes to show you sometimes you just got to get hot at the right time and you have to really feel it. And let's not forget that Dobish almost got pulled in, I think it was game 5 or 6. Like, he did not look good. Not to mention the Buffalo racked up the score 8-3, which was just unreal. So anything happens. There's a lot of opportunities. We'll see what takes place, but don't make assumptions based on just one postseason record because there's more to it than that. And on that note, we're going to get to Around the Rink. Around the Rink, brought to you by Flow Hockey. If you want to get some exciting youthful hockey to watch, go check out Flow Hockey and register for their wonderful service. All right, Evan, some news in the KHL. We got Danila Klimovic going. He's a Vancouver prospect, and he signed a 2-year contract with CSK in Moscow. Once his contract expires, he's 23. He was picked 41st overall in the 2021 draft. He had a lot of potential, and he's played the past 5 seasons with the Abbotsford Canucks. He has some offensive talent and the physical tools, but he's just never been able to break it through. So he's going to go over there to have an opportunity to play. However, Vancouver fans, don't despair. The Vancouver Canucks still own his rights. So if should things change or he lights it up in the KHL, he's going to be able to return, and they're going to be able to control his right. If not, potentially use it as a trade chip in the future to move him on to a different team.
And I like that, a trade chip. What a great idea, right? Maybe because another team, I don't see him going back to Vancouver. I think that's sale. And if we move over to the American Hockey League, everybody, just very small news. So Hamilton, of course, we mentioned on this show, had been given an American Hockey League team franchise. Not to mention, they were given, we talked about last week, they got their Hamilton franchise as well. And as we mentioned, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, PWHL is in there as well. But get this, they got a name for the Hamilton team in the American Hockey League. They're called The Hammers. Yeah, please don't all applaud at once. The Hamilton Hammers. Now, if they were hammerheads but hammers, like good workmen going out there. And so does this mean that you get a team that takes their hands and they smash? Is this goon hockey coming back? Anyway, I found that really interesting. Tomorrow morning in the Eastern time, by noon, I believe. I'm not sure the exact 11 or 12 Eastern time. I believe the press conference will be going to be giving the official name and also doing all the colors. So for those that are excited about American Hockey League coming, and you can watch that on Flow Hockey next year.
Top 2 worst team. And in other news, the Everett Silvertips have won big by capturing their first ever WHL championship in franchise history, after defeating the Prince Albert Raiders in 5 games. So they've become one of the biggest breakout teams this year in Canadian junior hockey and are now headed as one of the 4 teams to compete in the Memorial Cup. So that's exciting.
Landon DuPont, man. Landon DuPont. That's all I'm saying. Next year, number 1 overall, Landon DuPont. He'll be Calder Trophy winner in 2 years.
For sure. And what do you have about the WHL?
Let's talk a little bit more. So we know that the Chilliwack was awarded. Now, they are in the BCHL right now, and Chilliwack had already been given permission around the whole story of getting a WHL franchise. Now, a major update, because the WHL story is blowing up all over social media for a lot of you. Back in March of 2025, the league announced the expansion franchise for the Chilliwack Coliseum, okay? That would start, actually was supposed to be this next season. But they picked the MRG group that was led by the former Chilliwack Chiefs player, Matthew Gibbons, as the ownership group, okay? The franchise fee is sitting around the $15 million mark, maybe more. I want you guys to remember this, okay? Now, fast forward to this week. Mayor Ken Popov went on his weekly radio hit, and he said the prospective owners and the WHL have pretty much ghosted us. He shot down social media chatter that the city has already got cold feet. He says it's flat out a pile of crap, and he's saying we're still all in. Then the MRG group clapped back hard. They say it was the city that cut off negotiations back in February and that they've been ready to keep talking the whole time. Bottom line, it's all about the arena lease and the revenue split. Now that the city owns the Coliseum, no deal there, no team. It's going to require that because they have to give up revenue. There's going to be all these people. This is my part, I'm telling you. The WHL still says they want this to happen, but right now it's a full-on who ghosted who standoff, Pawel.
It'll be interesting. I don't know. I really can't comment much more than that. But I will jump into another great championship in the QMJHL, where the Chicoutimi Saugines, I apologize if I mispronounced that.
Chicoutimi, no problem.
They've won their first championship in 32 years after defeating the Moncton Wildcats in Game 6. Very emotional victory, one of the best junior hockey stories. And now they're preparing also for the first Memorial Cup appearance, one of which the Everett Silvertips will be there. And of course, now the stage has been set, and it's going to feature the Kelowna Rockets, who are the hosts, the WHL champions, Everett Silvertips, them, Chicoutimi Saugini, and the OHL champions, the Kitchener Rangers, who also won a couple days back. So the tournament officially begins Friday, May 26th. And a friend, former co-host and guest of the show, Jordan Roberts, he's going to be attending that tournament. So I hope he has fun and enjoys himself. But it should be some great youthful hockey. If you're looking at some up-and-coming prospects that you're going to see in the NHL next 4 to 5 years, check this out.
Oh, man. And guys, Caleb Dinoue, if you're a Utah, he's not there. I thought Moncton was going to be there. They got beat out fair and square. So now a little bit more in the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League, guys. Xavier Villeneuve, okay? Xavier Villeneuve, who is from Blainville, Bois Armanda, okay? He has now committed to Boston University for the 26-27. Remember, another guy going to the NCAA. He is a 2026 NHL draft prospect projected to go in the first round. Now, he got 38 points in his 37 games this year, a good push, okay? But this now pushes the trend of about 15 out of the top 20 ranked players, for most reports, that is, depending on who you're following, meaning that are now leaving. So think of it. Of the top 20 draft picks probably coming out of in like the end of June, 15 of them are committed to the NCAA. I mean, that's huge. And speaking of that, the University of North Dakota's blue line is going to be crazy next season. The Fighting Hawks have locked up their defensive corps. It's loaded. They got Keaton Bearhoff. I mean, he's going back, guys. He's not going to be playing in the NHL. They're going to give him some. He's a defenseman, too. Plus, incoming WHL standouts who could go. He's been ranked in some as high as 2, could go as low as 5 or 6. Carson Carroll's played in the World Juniors. How about Ethan McKenzie? All former Western Hockey League players. So Jordan Robert will love that, who already know how to compete at a high level. But now they've gone over to Prince George and robbed the Cougars of Captain Bauer Dumansky, who just committed yesterday. So the 6'2", 211-pound blue liner, the guy led the entire WHL in block shots with 181 or more. So imagine, he had 17 more block shots than the next guy in the whole league. They are loaded. Like, they are picking them up left and right. So that's 4 big battle-tested defensemen, logged heavy minutes, man and junior, and they're all coming back together over in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Their blue line, Pawel, just went from solid to scary. The two, I'm looking at Michigan State, I'm looking at Denver, and I'm looking at University of North Dakota. And I think North Dakota has a good chance to actually win this, but Michigan State's pretty loaded too.
Mm-hmm. And Zilstra says Rucks are talking maybe NCAA. Any thoughts there?
Actually, I'll have to follow up on that. I have not heard any news on that one yet.
Or the Correll's going to North Dakota. So we'll keep you guys posted.
That's what we were just talking about, loading up on their top 4.
So we'll keep you posted about any other changes happening, because, again, there's a lot of movement, especially with the NCAA changes and everything else. So we'll see how things progress this offseason and into next year. All right, in PWHL news, the Walter Cup has been very exciting. Game 4 goes tonight. Now, Ottawa barely clinched and kept itself alive by winning in overtime 2-1. And Montreal was essentially in the lead. Of course, they've got Marie-Philippe Poulin, who's got 2 goals and 5 assists in 8 games. And Anne-Riche Desbiens, she's got a .938 save percentage. So really, Montreal has been really, really good, both offensively and defensively. But Ottawa's not going away. So game 4 is tonight. And we'll see if Montreal can close it out. If not, game 5 goes on May 23rd. But it's been some incredible hockey in the PWHL. I believe it was goaltender Gwyneth Phillips played a key role by making 27 saves to help Ottawa, win it out. And again, we'll see what happens if they can overcome a 2-0 deficit. And then, of course, as we mentioned last week, but it's official now, they're expanding to 4 different places: Detroit, Las Vegas, Hamilton, and of course, it's been announced now, the San Jose region, of which they're going to play where the San Jose Sharks play. So that's another thing added to San Jose in terms of a hockey market. So I believe the Barracudas played there as well, right? If I recall.
Yeah.
So
again, and what was cool is the Sharks and Barracudas team. They actually were supportive of the team coming in. So I thought that was great. Timu says incredible. Incredible to have San Jose with 3 teams. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And you wanted to wrap up with a little bit BCHL news, right?
Okay, I'm just wondering, what's Timu referring to? Maybe
what about Turku or Rovaniemi? I don't know if these are some prospects or some of the players in the PWHL.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look it up, Timu. Let us know.
All right. Yeah. So just a couple notes here, guys. The British Columbia Hockey League update. This is kind of straight off the show sheet for you guys. The Sherwood Park. Oh, what's that? No, go ahead. I haven't started yet. Do you have something yet?
Cities, what about him? Is what Timu's indicating. Turku, it looks like a European hockey team that he's referring to, a European elite hockey team based in Finland that they're playing in.
So actually, Timu, some of the Europe for women, if we're talking about, or even some of the junior, we're still getting connections too. If you can link us up and get more connections and stuff like that, we would definitely be all game for that, man.
Yes.
So, okay, let's go back over to the BCHL, guys. The Sherwood Park Crusaders of the BCHL, formerly of the AJHL, they left. They've been gone for a year and a half, so they've completed a year and a half away. There is rumored that it's been tough. What about a team there? Oh, you're talking over in Europe. Actually, I have heard that there is a potential that they would love to set up a Europe and North America, two separate entities, and then they play each other for like a World Cup, the Walter Cup concept. That would be so cool. I love it because I don't think you're going to get a lot of European women. You're not going to pay them the kind of money that the NHL gets to leave, right? They're going to make probably just as much money over there. I'd be interested. We should talk to some of the agents and find out from them. I know that might be a good question for Dale Wolski. He hasn't got into women's agents repping, but so anyway, the Sherwood Park with the BCHL, there's been a lot of talk. It's been more financially unstable, just with all the changes that happened at the NCAA after the BCHL had the teams leave and move over. However, the Sherwood Park Crusaders, and this is a tough one for me because they parted ways with head coach and general manager now Brennan Menard. Now sources say that I guess Menard had been looking for at least the last 4 months of this last season. So this didn't come as a total shock, really, I think, inside their organization. But at the same time, there was growing talk that several of the BCHL clubs are facing really high financial pressure. Again, because they're Alberta-based, the costs are higher. They still get more players, though, with all the changes. BCHL is still going to get more players sending than the AJHL. It's just that they're not able to easily jump. But that's why the BCHL allows players, and they don't try to put them into where, hey, you signed a contract, you can't leave us. Whereas the North American Hockey League has now, I think, signed that contract. I'll verify that next week, right, with it. So just remember that. They're just all rumors right now around that. Now, I do want to mention a very cool draft story, and then we can just touch base on Zill. I see a note. The 2026 NHL draft story is going to be wild, folks, this year. I will talk more about it on the day of the night of the draft, but I want you to remember a name. The name is Jackson Cover, okay? London Knights left winger and a top prospect. He grew up in Grand Cayman. That's right, Grand Cayman in the Caribbean islands with literally 0 ice rinks, 0 from age 3. He didn't even touch real ice until he was 14. And then 4 years later, he's projected as a first or a second round pick and from the tropics to the OHL in record time. So I actually found that very, very interesting. So, I'm going to dig deeper into the story and let's see what we have for you guys on draft night, possibly a first round draft pick.
For sure. Great insight there. And Zelser says Washington owners want PWHL, but they want to own. I mean, there may be expansion next season. We'll see how it goes with these teams. It may be a pause until the following year. And then I don't know all the logistics. This is where lawyers come in.
But here's the thing, though, Pawel. I think what Zill's getting to here is they want to own. They can't own because there's a single entity within. And that's why Zill, right now, Denver and Edmonton can't make something go. It's very unusual. San Jose would actually do something like this and share a rink because they have very specific where they're going and they've gone to places that will open up to rinks. It's pretty hard for a team that owns like Washington and or Edmonton or in Denver and say, yeah, we're going to share with you, but we get 0 extra out of this. So I think they're going to have to at some point change this model. But I think they want to stabilize probably at 12 teams for a couple of years and then see if every team is making money, maybe get a little bit of an increase. And then could at that point they start selling off and make this something bigger, or do they expand a little bit bigger? So
for sure.
Anyway.
And And we discussed this a while back with a local reporter here in Edmonton, Tom Gazzola, and he talked about how there is enough deep pockets and interest in bringing a team. But again, there's a lot of logistics and hoops to go through before you can get to that. But we'll report to you if there's any other news about the PHL. Wishing both Montreal and Ottawa the best tonight, because it should be an exciting series on top of all the other hockey. But that has been Around the Rink. All right, and before we jump into some of the other NHL news, I just want to go back because I know we were looking at the kind of the Jari and the what would it look like with sent down. So according to Puckpedia and according to Puck Hart Levine, who's been on the show before, in terms of some of the contracts that are up there, if he were to drop down to the AHL, and nobody were to claim him, this would provide about, on his 5.375 million AAV, 1.255 million in cap savings. So Edmonton would still be on the hook for 4.12. So it's not nothing, but it's still,
but I guess if you said that 1.5 in savings gave you Kosa, because it's his first contract.
On top of the other signings you have to do, yes.
Yeah. Now Devin Levi wouldn't work because he's going to need more if they went after Devin Levi. So if they went after Kosa as a new guy, that would allow them that cap space, and they could essentially bury and just eat the cap dollars if they felt good in Kosa and felt they had Ingram or someone else and wanted to run with that. So, but can I just say, we don't have time to get into this, and this will be into the beginning of next year and see. One issue that I did have, I saw with Ingram, I liked where he was going and how he was building his game. But and Timu, if you're still around, you can comment on this. When he commits, he overslides. Mm-hmm. I see him often. So his blocker, it seems to shift him, especially so he'll shift with his blocker side, and he'll push about an extra 2 feet. Or when he goes to slide out, he'll with his glove hand, I would notice he'd have about an extra 1.5 feet. So he would end up out of position at the end of the play, which if the team was able to regain the puck, it was tough. So, yeah, there you go.
No, makes sense. So let's get into the
go ahead, Timu.
Timu says he just gets out of position. I mean,
yeah. He does. It's like he needs to get his starting place on that back of the center of the goal more often. I like the guy. I really like him. I just feel he's a little bit out, and that affects him. When he stays calm, he's not too bad. So, okay.
Let's get into the Vegas drama, because there's been a lot happening with the Vegas Renaerts. Now, they starting off the Western Conference Final tonight. The game is ongoing with the Colorado Avalanche tonight with Makar out. So it'll be interesting to see, and I'd love to get your quick thoughts and predictions on both of the series after this. But it sounds like they were fined, and I believe we discussed this in the last little bit, $100,000. And a loss of a 2026 second-round pick, which has been upheld by the NHL after meeting with them in New York yesterday. And it sounds like they were not happy with how not available and the doors were closed post-media after their series win with the Anaheim Ducks, given that there were some issues with their plane or their bus or something like that. There was a lot of people whose ears and eyes perked up after hearing about the penalty, because $100,000 for the owner means nothing, but a second-round draft pick for a team that's given away a lot of their draft pick, it looks like it's not good. On top of that, the union of coaches, as Zylstra is indicating, also released a statement that there's not much they can do, but they are kind of standing by Bruce Cassidy, given that he's got one more year still being paid at $4+ million. And it looks like he's not getting an opportunity to interview anywhere, at least right now, for Edmonton and LA. These are the topics. Elliot Friedman indicated he's not sure about Toronto. I know that's one potential. He may not go there, but just they want to do their due diligence with Chaika and Sundin. Your thoughts on this whole mess? Because it also, there was talks about how maybe if there's good behavior by Vegas, they may have somehow this return. And I bring back a secondary thing that happened recently where the Ottawa Senators were given their 32nd or first round pick this year after everything that happened in the Dadonov trade a couple years ago.
Was that 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, two. So
what you're saying is there is always a possibility if you're actually giving reference to that they lost the appeal, and in 2 years, or well, no, it can't be 2 years. It's this year's second round draft pick, isn't it?
It was a 2026, yeah, this year.
Yeah. So I don't think I think it's too close to them. So this is what I've been told. So I think no one knew that they had been warned. Then some people got the news that they had been warned. I'm being told that they've been warned twice before about this kind of behavior, not just with Torts. Torts has actually been warned about this kind of behavior. And so in the end, this was them saying enough of not listening to us. And I think that the NHL has done very good at supporting them. But let's face it, the whole LTIR was like, yes, we had a one-off. I understand the Kucherov thing, okay? It was the last-minute thing. You had your doctors. It seemed to wait. It was a one-off thing. But then someone like Vegas goes, oh, and then they did it. Now it looks like it's not a one-off. And then they did it with the same player 2 years in a row. Okay, now this is getting confusing. And now a year when they can't use it, all of a sudden that player is healthy. Now that they're further into the playoffs, now the player is actually hurt again. It just, well, that's probably because they had to keep playing. They couldn't take that time off and save the cap, so the guy had to play through. So, okay, a couple things. If you guys have been following me on X, I know I get 10, 15,000 different viewings and stuff on this. So we're working in human resource, and I've done some work because some of my work now has to do when you're dealing with law, okay? We're talking about civil law type work and contract law. Now, contract law, if we're not talking about unions or associations, which I did not know there was even a coaches union. Most people didn't even have, or association. They did not know that till recently. Now, an association and a union are different. A union is stronger than an association, if I can just let everyone know that. Now, however, if there was not that in place, he could buy himself out. He can just by walking out from that money. He's entitled to do that. He is legally allowed. However, in this case, that's not the truth because there is an agreement with the Players Association, the Coaches Association, but it's gone against the favor. So, yes, go ahead. Some people are commenting. Let them get some comments in, and then you start feeding some, and we'll continue.
For sure. So Jacob says, I hate how cutthroat they operate. The league is finally sick of their shit. I hope that Oilers get Cassidy. Mark Stone on LTR was such a joke every March with some emojis. Silstra says, yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights didn't do due diligence here, and Ottawa paid down for it. I mean, it was both parties in that Dadonov situation, but...
Oh, I forgot. That was the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
That was the deal. And they didn't
do their job. He was on Ottawa's no-trade list. That was the whole thing.
Good point, Sil. Good point. Yeah, I'm glad actually Ottawa got it back now.
Well, and I mean, Michael Andlauer came in and he was upset that was his team was being penalized for this.
I don't believe he might not have bought the team at that price. He could have actually said, hey, we're less a draft pick, $100,000 less, right, of the old ownership.
And Ottawa's kind of in that mix of learning how to be competitive, and that window is just opening up. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty. Then it's shady. They've done this before. We've seen it with other players. We've seen it with Marc-Andre Fleury. We saw the situation with Robin Lehner there, with some of the other players that were shipped off. And kind of, Vegas is cutthroat, as Jake said. I think they're going to do whatever it takes to win. I've been to that arena. It's beautiful. They are a team that's competing. I mean, Evan, since their inception 9 years ago, they've been in the playoffs every single year except for one, and they've won a cup, and they continue to be a dominant team in the postseason.
Yeah. So, hey, Robin Lehner was different.
Yeah, there was some other outstanding thing, but I mean, again,
I agree with Timu, but there is a certain point that I still disagree. That when you sign a player and there's issues, I don't know if you should get out of that because you should have done due diligence. They took a chance on him earlier on, right, with what was going on. So.
And we got the Northern Michigan Warhounds joining in. Thank you for tuning in. Evening to you as well. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion there. It's been a hot topic. I got to be honest, it's been fun for hockey because normally right now we're talking about, Evan, is playoffs, which is we'll get to that series quickly in just a moment. But
not last year. Last year, I felt this was still going on. We had right to the Cup final, man. We had so much to talk about. If I go back, I feel like this is the second year in a row where everything else.
There's a lot happening. Yeah. Outside of the noise of what's normally coming out. So they've been punished. We'll see what happens in the future. Maybe they'll get something else, but it's interesting to see. And for the time being, Bruce Cassidy is not able to coach anywhere else, or at least interview for a potential job. And we know that he would be high in demand the way that Peter DeBoer was until the Islanders snatched him up.
So let me throw in some two bits here. Something that I think there's going to be 2 to 3 interviews. This is what I do believe. Some stuff I've been hearing. There'll be 2 to 3 interviews that the Edmonton Oilers will do due diligence. So if you're not a fan of the team, then you'll go, oh, I don't care. I hope they hire a bad coach. Like you're hoping they hire Craig Berube, and every local fan does not want Craig Berube. Just because he won a cup, they don't think it's a good.
Well, his underlying numbers at Toronto weren't good last year.
Right? Well, and Toronto is an anomaly. I don't think there was issues between him and Matthews. I don't know. Maybe Berube is what they need for this team to kind of, including McDavid. Like McDavid or Draisaitl will give up pucks. Sit them for a shift. I don't care if they're making $14 million or 12 and a half. So anyway, having said that, so it's going to be 2 to 3. They will wait till the Golden Knights are out. They have no rush for a coach.
No.
Okay. No rush whatsoever. As long as you have your GM and your president of operations and all your scouts, you're ready for the draft or any trades. You don't have to worry about the coach. So coaching is not an issue because unless there was someone else outside of Cassidy, which I believe right now they have no running favorites at all. They want Cassidy, but they're going to go ahead and still do some interviewing, and it's good. They need to. You never know, something down the road, right? And to all those that said they're going through so many coaches, folks, I want you to remember 2.6 is the average amount of years a coach is in the NHL since 2010. Yeah. If you're like, well, John Gibson is the reason. John Cooper, sorry. John Gibson.
I didn't realize the goalie, John Gibson, is now a coach.
But right
is he
now,
looking at Todd McClellan and saying, "Look at me, I am the captain now."
So someone like Cooper is the reason that it actually is longer.
Yeah.
Like otherwise it would be like 1.7 to 2.5. Yeah. Well, Sullivan was the longer stay previously as well.
Cooper was the longest. Sullivan was the second longest until he moved over to New York last year.
Sullivan was there before Cooper.
No.
He wasn't?
Cooper is the longest.
No, okay. No. I stand corrected by the cat. No, what has the world come to, man? Okay, so anyway, but the bottom line is don't worry about the coach thing. The coach, there's always a bump with the coach piece. Right now, they need to get someone that will bring, and this is the bottom line, whoever's going to be the new coach, they need to push defense and make the team. Even if it means they have a less scoring season, if the numbers are like around 100 to 110 for the two superstars, if they all play a defensive game so they don't leave the goalies out to dry, and some of you guys out there, the fans, have even told us the same. So anyway, I will say I think this is petty of Vegas to actually say, listen, the one thing around I think is if they're saying, well, we don't want to be distracted, so we cannot give permission right now to talk to him. That's a bunch of hogwash, and then say no questions. Yeah. No questions. So I'm starting to really dislike. They have a perfect right to do what they're doing, but I'm really starting to like McCrimmon, and I'm telling you, in 2 to 3 years, this team is actually isolating themselves at some point until that management is out. But I think that management doesn't care, because that management team of McPhee as the president and McCrimmon as the GM and assistant president, they'll just be gone. They'll just say, okay, well, you've said
We did what we could for the franchise.
You've been good 10 or 12. So go ahead.
So Northern Michigan's Warhounds indicate that their owners, a Ducks fan, is still recovering. We're so sorry. I mean, yeah, it was a great series. I love what Anaheim brought, and they have a bright future, albeit they have some signings to do. But I like what they've been able to put together. Pat Verbeek has some decisions to make, including some extending UFAs, and of course, what to do with Mason McTavish. Team says, what the F did Mitch Marner? What a pass. It sounds like Vegas is up right now, 2-0 against Colorado.
Good on Mitchie.
John Cooper, or Jacob says, John Cooper is the gold standard of coaching. Agree. I got to meet him once here in Edmonton. It was a great honor. And Timo says that management team is the smartest, classless, shitless, and most intelligent thing I've ever seen. Says, I don't make any money on cups.
Oh, okay, that's because Zylstra bet on the Anaheim Ducks to win the cup.
Okay, so I want to get your quick thoughts because it's the end of the second. It is 2-0, but that doesn't mean anything. Your predictions on the Western Conference Finals for the Vegas Golden Knights right now. 2-0.
Wow. Okay.
Your thoughts on this series, and then we're going to jump into the Eastern series there.
Okay, so in the Western series, can I just say I'm actually cheering for the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's because I really have begun to not like the team. I don't like the way the Avalanche play the game. I incredibly am in awe of McKinnon's game and how he plays, and I kind of like him, but I don't. And so right now, I thought Cal McCarr's been quiet because Cal McCarr wasn't playing tonight.
He's not playing. He's day to day. I think team is being cheap.
So anyway, I don't like either team, but I actually want the Vegas Golden Knights to actually come out of this. And then maybe they'll be happy and they'll let Bruce Cassidy go. So I think it's a 7-game series and Colorado comes out.
Okay. I see Colorado in 6, but we'll see how it goes. That's exciting. You guys can let us know. All right. In the East, Montreal versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Your thoughts quickly on this series in a sentence or two, and what's going to be of this series?
Okay, so no more Stankoven, Taylor Hall carrying this team, the Carolina Hurricanes, if they're going to make it to the Cup final. They have coasted for many years to this Final Four. I think right now, Timu, we go from I'm terrible and I'm stupid to now you're best friends because of the Avalanche. All right, man. So, but I'll tell you, Stankoven and Taylor Hall cannot be relied on. Sebastian Aho, some of the other Svechnikov, these guys got to pick it up, and they got to get some better scoring from deeper even yet. And Frederick Anderson has to continue to stand on his head and be perfect in goal because there's going to be a lot of offense coming. And if Dobish keeps playing as well as he has, I do think this is a 6-game series going to the Hurricanes, though.
Okay, so I predict that this is either going to be 4 or 5 games for Carolina or 7-game series again for Montreal. And I'm leaning towards Montreal just because of the feel-good story and the young, exciting core that they have and what they've been able to bring. And they shouldn't be here, but they are. And I really believe that the long rest for Carolina is going to make them a bit sluggish, at least for games 1 and 2. So that's going to put them on their back heels. Anderson has been playing lights out, could be a Conn Smythe nominee, but I really believe that Montreal Dobish has really just come out of the woodwork and been incredible. And I really think it's going to be this series is based on who's going to coach better. Rob Brindamore, who's an elite, or Martin St. Louis. That's my prediction for this.
It's the battle of the coaches. I like it.
It is a battle of the coaches for this one. And Zylstra says Anderson is getting good rest. That really helps up-down goalie. I agree. He does need the rest. So that's pretty much it. What we've been. I know you wanted to wrap up one more thing before we get to a little bit of hockey history.
So guys, we didn't get this in last week because we had so much going on. I wanted to talk. There was actually really big news, and I'm excited in the Pacific Northwest right now. The Seattle Kraken, they've been creaking instead of cracking, are kind of done messing around. It looks like. They have officially partnered with what's called the Sportsology Group. That's basically that group is a high-powered London and New York-based sports advisory firm, and they have taken on a full-on, no-holds-barred assessment of all areas of their hockey operations. Remember, we're talking about organizational structure. This has been one of my issues since they began. How decisions get made, communications up and down the chain, player development, which I think was good in the American, but the development within the system, amateur and pro scouting, analytics, coaching staff, philosophy, sports science, medical, all those things, including the AHL. But it's not the usual end of season review. This is an internal audit running side by side with their CEO, Todd Lukey. Okay. And so he's called for it back in April, right after Francis stepped away. And believe me, I think Francis was asked to step away, but looked good by doing it. So Botterill's now running point on this expanded department. But for context, the Kraken wrapped up the season with a losing record, and that's 4 playoff misses in 5 seasons since they hit the ice. So fans are not okay. Sportsology doesn't mess around. They've done dives for teams like the 49ers, Rams, Eagles, NBA clubs, MLS. They know what to do, and they're going to fix the broken pieces. Seattle, I think you're looking at your team coming together. So, and I will look into Jessica and see where she could be landing next year. Assistant, does she get some interviews for a head coach job? I haven't had a chance to follow up on that.
For sure. And team says I could do that for free. Shirt show. And then Jacob said I cannot support Vegas or watch Vegas in the Cup final. Montreal, Colorado. Hopefully, Taylor Hall had an unreal interview with Jason Greger last week. It sounded humble and grown up. Would hurt to watch Carolina, but my order of preference for winning the Cup is Montreal, Colorado, Carolina, Vegas. Zylstra says PWHA San Jose needs name like Piranha. That'd be cool.
Hey, that'd be cool.
Says Canes in 6. The little Montreal run where 95% of the team doesn't know how to play hockey and just hits and just are eating Canes. My son likes them in Texas. Won't work against the Canes that are just never going away. It's interesting to think, and I just want to bring up one thing that I know it hasn't been reported as much because it's been very quiet on the front, but there is no news surrounding the Nashville Predators GM job. I know that they're still looking. They may be waiting for a team that's done in the postseason with somebody who right now is high above, not necessarily a current GM, but an AGM in one of these 4 teams, Montreal, Vegas, maybe not Vegas, but Montreal, Colorado, or Carolina. So keep an eye out for that because we'll be reporting on that. And that's pretty much it.
Last thought, I just want to mention, this is crazy. So guess what? Brantford Bulldog, the Brantford team in the OHL loses their players, to the NCAA. Where are they getting them from? The United States Hockey League. They just grabbed the number 1 player from last year. That's where they're recruiting. Folks, it's going to, basically they're pulling them from the USHL and the BCHL. They come into the CHL, and the CHL they move over to the NCAA, and then they go wherever. It's crazy, man, the way things have changed.
All right. And now a little hockey history. Checking it out here in the beautiful city of Red Deer. We're going to come right on in. Hey guys, Pawel the Cat here from Two Guys and Talking at the Alberta Hockey Hall of Fame. Just checking it out here in the beautiful city of Red Deer. We're going to come right on in. We've got a great showcasing of the championships, the pedigree, and the caliber of some of the most accomplished athletes in Alberta's history. Some incredible players who have ever laced it up the skates. It's a great way to honor people. It shows, the deep, rich history of hockey in the province of Alberta. Some of the greats that have come through here, they're honored here. Some of the jerseys that we get to see here, it's incredible. And you just get to really get a sense of history for the world of hockey. And so I really believe that if you get a chance to visit Red Deer, go check it out, the Alberta Sports Museum, because it's a great checkout. It's great for kids, it's great for families. It's just an all-around great time. And just enjoy yourself. This has been a little bit of hockey history. All right, so that was a little hockey history I got to visit. So I apologize. We were having some technical difficulties, but it worked. We're going to post that to our Instagram and Facebook page. Timu, I don't know how big you thought I was, but I'm definitely bigger this way, not this way. But Yeah, a little bit of piece of action here in Alberta. A lot of great, rich history, as there is almost anywhere in the world. So, yeah, just wanted to share that. And
Awesome.
that wraps it up for our episode of Two Guys in Hockey Talk, Season 7, Episode 35. Once again, we are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. We have articles that we put up regularly. We got Jim Behringer and Grant Cummings who write for us, amongst some others. So go check out our page. It hosts also our former guests on the show. And thank you again for all of our sponsors, including Puckpedia, Penny Billionaires, Flow Hockey, Pro Hockey Group, Northern Michigan Warren Hounds, who now we've known the owners, a big Anaheim fan, and Edmonton JR Web Design. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Any final thoughts before we wrap up? I guess Timu wants us to make 2-hour episodes. Timu, we have lives.
It does get interesting because we actually have talked about a secondary show so that we put all NHL related on one, and then around the ring stuff actually with some different episodes. So maybe you need to help us. Maybe you need to do some writing for us, Timu. That would be something. Then you can translate it into the English from your Finnish. Anyway, man, thanks for being a part of it. Thanks to everybody. Zill, thanks out there. Jacob, Jordan, all you guys who make this a great. Kyle, Ray, he's not on there too much. Too much fun to listen to while I work. We appreciate the banter and the back and forth, whether we agree or disagree, man. The great thing about hockey is it's fun. The greatest game on the planet, and the fastest game and the hardest hitting game. So we look to up things up as we come into the year. So everyone, just a reminder, we only got 4 shows left, I think, as we're coming into the end of the season. So we will be, and Pawel and I haven't talked about this, but the Canada Day weekend, we're in Canada, which is July 1st, is a Wednesday. And not sure on an actual holiday if I want to be on live. So we might make that last show a Thursday if I can convince Pawel to come on the day after free agency. That's usually how we do it, the week after free agency. But we will be doing a live draft show. So it'll probably a 3.5 hour show starting a half hour before draft on NHL night. So we'll be bringing a whole bunch of different guests on. So, hey, Timu, if you got some stuff around the draft, some different Finnish players to look for, love to connect with me. Send some stuff to my DM through X. But, guys, you make the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Timu, we usually take a summer break and are back in early September for the show. So we usually take July and August off to spend it with our families and friends. Usually it's quiet around that time, although unless something big occurs, we usually return back in September.
Yeah, for the show, but not for us on our social media. We keep busy on social media still throughout the year. I find my downtime in social media is usually around probably, I think, the last 2 weeks of July and the last 2 weeks of August. That's kind of the time.
Tag you're it. He says, Timu, I tag you in things. So tag you're it.
You do.
And on that note, thank you again for tuning in. And as always, as we say, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your stick on the ice.
Cheers, everyone.